Welcome back to Connie or Hannah and Connie Unraveled. And if you didn't notice, Hannah's in the middle of a jungle right now. Just kidding. Hannah is in Hawaii.
But in Hawaii, yep. Working on a farm here, just trying to get very acquainted with the land and with the food that I'm eating. Yeah.
Hannah in Hawaii, part 2.
Yeah, I live outside here. And I like it.
We're gonna need to do a video of whether it's on your phone, like through social media, or like with your camera, and then like give a little tour of your place. I feel like, at least for me.
I will.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. You got bamboo. Is that bamboo sticks in the back?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, there's no walls and there's no doors, and critters come and tap on my shoulder in the night to sleep with me.
Oh.
Like they do.
Oh.
And the nights actually have been cold, so they want to snuggle, like whatever animals are around. They just come in the bed, and I say, okay.
Is that the bed behind you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't actually seen your place.
It's very dry.
Is this different than the one you had before?
I've stayed in a couple places, but I've stayed in this place before, but
okay.
I've stayed in some other places too. So this one, the one I stayed in before, was kind of enclosed. This one is not enclosed at all.
Okay.
Other than me sleeping in a mosquito net. That's my protection.
I feel like I would have to at this point. I might have like one of those, like, they haven't invented it, but like maybe like a box, not like those bubbles that they have that you can sleep in, because I don't think that would be okay. But somehow I would build a mosquito net around me. Well, you can do that. What about those canopies? Don't those canopies work? Can you like have those canopies and then put it around your bed, and then so mosquitoes don't get in?
Yeah, that's what I sleep under.
Oh,
it works.
Okay.
Yeah, it works. And but surprisingly, the mosquitoes haven't been that bad. I don't even want to say it out loud because I don't want
right.
to. But
I'm not.
So far, have been pretty blessed. So I'm very
Yay.
happy. I feel good. I'm eating well, and yeah, trying to submerge into the healthiest lifestyle that I can. So,
what better way than Hawaii?
There's no better way. And the Hawaii is just so pure. The land is so pure that you just, when you become in sync with it, the purity in yourself starts to be accentuated, and you start feeling great. And I do.
Well,
you get into the natural rhythm of the earth, because when there's not a lot of unnatural light here, so when the sun goes down, you go to bed. When the sun comes up, you wake up.
Yeah.
And it's like it feels proper and right. So yeah.
Woohoo!
Sun in my eye.
I know, right? I was like, are you gonna make it through? Okay. Well, that's a little bit about what has changed since last time we recorded, which was only 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Life is just moving along.
It is. Okay, so today we are going to talk about masculinity versus femininity versus masculinity. And yeah, everything that comes with it. And, it's just two females, of course, talking about this, but we'll keep everything very balanced and kind of give our perspective. And yeah, this is a topic that we just naturally came across. And it's something that you said, Hannah, weeks ago about finding balance, I think, with your masculine side, because you said everybody has I don't know, how did you word it? Because it was something that's what sparked really this conversation. Do you remember? I think it was you. I'm pretty sure it was you. Maybe not.
Well, I perceive life as, well, I mean, it's possible. I don't, maybe not, but I perceive life as in like, if you don't have a good relationship with women, or you don't have a good relationship with men, that might be a reflection of that relationship within yourself. So we all have masculinity, we all have femininity, we all have estrogen, we all have testosterone. Like, those are literal, physical, scientific hormones within us that attribute to both our femininity and masculinity, and it cannot be ignored. And so, it's about us recognizing, like, what are our feminine traits, what are our masculine traits, how are they synchronized? Because it's not even like femininity versus masculinity. It's like more so, how are we harmonizing and synchronizing with those traits that we all have, and how are they being expressed into the world? And so, like, for me, and it's just like kind of a personal thing, but yes, sometimes my relationship with men isn't the greatest, and which is something I'm working on, but that kind of makes me feel like, maybe I have somewhat of a hurt relationship with the masculinity within myself. And so, like, acknowledging what traits about me are very feminine, what traits about me are masculine, and working with those in a synchronized way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a really important point too, because now that I'm kind of thinking about it, clearly, like, our upbringing has a lot to do with, and I mean, there's so much science behind this that we should definitely reference, but has a lot to do with the way that we develop, and clearly the way that we are with our masculine side, or I guess our masculine or in our feminine traits, because there are some that are there's stigmas on both sides for each one, but we all carry these. It's just some of us carry them more profound and are more connected to them, and I guess in the end it's just finding balance in all of them. But for somebody like with our history, like for me, and upbringing for me, a big part of my life was nurturing to my family, growing up, and my background, and kind of my journey through here as an immigrant as well. It was definitely something that I'm just close to, nurturing those around me, and my siblings, and really taking care of each other. So for me, that's a characteristic that am like very connected to, and also very protective. So for me, in which protective is part of, I mean, I guess that could be both, but we kind of go with, at least from having conversation with a lot of people, is that when we think of being protected, we think of this masculine, hey, whoever's in the background, with this like a man, right? Like, we want men to, not that we want in general, but like that masculine side of like men to like have that trait of being protective. When of course, when we think about like a mama cub, I mean, a mama can take over and she's protective, and she's, I mean, as an animal, like as moms and nurturing to our kids, we also have that trait that at some point when we're mothers, I kind of gets closer to us, or we get closer to it because we have that nurturing, but also that protective side of us that we want to protect our cubs and whatnot. So definitely through journey, we are more connected to some traits and through the experiences on here. But something that I was looking into was just clearly finding balance between the both. And there's an energy that I'm over here like getting distracted. But there's like an energy here with, I don't know, there's clearly a lot of biological that goes with it, but a lot is with an energy. And Hannah and I mean, we both are with energy, right? Like positive energy, or just reading other people's journeys. So we vibe off of that. And I'm trying to think of masculinity and femininity as an energy that we all carry, and we're able to export and really kind of share. So I think the whole idea of, there's so much stigma because we are used to seeing that girls are sensitive, right? And then we have girls that are dramatic. We don't ever really hear like, oh, like to men, like you're being so dramatic right now. Like it's usually the other way around. And that's because women, I mean, as women, like we're more in tune with our emotions, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, and definitely like if a woman is being considered like dramatic or something, um, she might just be in her masculinity at that point, like in her power of masculinity, but it's perceived because it's not identified as a feminine trait. There's a negative connotation with that.
Or even
And
attitude.
yeah, attitude. But really you just might be like in your masculine power at that moment. And so it's when moving through things like this, it's about being reflective and identifying, your femininity and your masculinity and embracing both sides to the fullest. And when you start delving a little deeper into that, if someone calls you, bossy or like having an attitude, just embrace it. I mean, because you know that you're just being reflective of yourself. You know that you're making those movements to balance and harmonizing with all parts of you. And I know for me, like, I live in a very feminine way. Like my movement through life is very feminine. I embody it very easily and gracefully. But I think it has been a struggle. And of course, just because of the boxes that we are put in through society, it's hard to embrace and embody both sides. And it's for us to be balanced people, it's very important that we are reflective of both our masculinity and our femininity and recognizing what traits embody both of those things. So, and I know that you looked at traits that are considered feminine and masculine.
Yeah, which it makes you kind of reflect. So if I look on here, like feminine energy is receptive, passive, intuitive, it's inward, which kind of makes sense in regards to most, and I don't want to generalize, but most female comes with the stigma and all of that. We're more, we reflect a lot inward with like emotions. We're more attached to that. It just, I think it comes with like the nurturing part of us, that being connected with our emotions. But then the opposite for masculine energy, it says projective, active, and it's outward. Okay. So that's kind of that masculine energy. It says natural feminine has like unconditional love. It's understanding, nurturing, tenderness, kindness, creative, feeling, emotional, sensitivity, surrender, stillness, I guess. And natural masculine, natural masculine is like confidence, inner strength, responsibility, focus, support, stability, protection, clarity, courage, discipline, assertive. Okay. And a lot of these things, of course, are it sucks because they're put in boxes. Like this is feminine and this is masculine. But really when we look at this, I mean, I see myself in both.
Right. But we live in a world of duality. Like we live in a world where like it's like this or this, but like it's very important that we understand that everything needs to be embodied. And we live in a very patriarchal world. Like we are the femininity in which women and men for the most part are 50-50 in the world. Like there's 50% men, 50% women, here or there, give and take. And we live in a very masculine world and we have drowned out the femininity. And because of that, there's so much imbalance in this world. And the sooner that we get on board with understanding that each individual person, male, female, everyone in between, the sooner that we understand that we need to embody both characteristics and all characteristics and that we have all of them, the sooner that we will find global balance. It's really like important that we do. Even like you think about a city, everything is straight and narrow. The buildings are tall, they're masculine, they're structured. Where's the femininity there? We are just being overwhelmed by And this isn't me being negative to masculinity. It's just we're out of balance. It's very important that we have to, and everybody take it back. Take back your femininity as a man too, not just like women in the society who, it's not me just like putting something on men. I'm just saying, as men, you need to recognize your femininity as well, so that you can be a more balanced person. You will feel better. You will be more in sync with the earth and the world, and you will be able to manifest the things that you want in your life a lot more easily. And being in touch with those emotions, being in touch with your intuition. Why have we suppressed intuition? It's like a magic skill. Like, why? It's the energy that we just already know. Like, why have we suppressed that? And sorry, I'm getting
because when we start seeing some of these, and really to answer that question, I mean, I think it comes from just having those moments to where we're so used to being put in boxes that as soon as you start showing the trait of the opposite masculine, then it automatically it could be used against you. It could be, if you are assertive as a woman, I think, and if you know what you want, and if you are confident and you move through life with just being that person and knowing who you are and that confidence, I think a lot of that can be just taken as you are, oh, you think you're all this, or you are bitch, or it's just I'm not going to say it, but it's perceived that way. And then on the contrary, I think as men as well, if they start showing those signs of like being submissive, or showing emotion and that sensitivity, then they're seen as weak. And when we think of masculinity, we think of, I think not in general, I'm just saying like what society I feel like sees it as power, right? Strength. And when you think about like a sensitive man, even in our society now, I think a lot of people they might see it as weakness. People are men who are sensitive. They might even themselves be in this box to where they don't want to show it. And sometimes they want to overcompensate because, well, I'm feeling this, but that's not accepted in public. It could be taken, I could be bullied, I could be this, I could be seen this way. So we have to overcompensate and into fit this box that it's supposed to be, I'm a man type of thing. And it goes back and forth to a feminine, a girl. So I think it's such a tough topic because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's
change that has to, occur.
Right. And where do you even start with that? I mean, where do you start?
I mean, when you see the box that society and the matrix world has put you in, when you see the box of like how women are supposed to be and men are supposed to be, and you see that, ignore the box. Like, look beyond the box. And to really truly step into your power as a divine feminine or divine masculine, you have to embody all sides of those things. We all have light, we all have darkness. It's yin and yang. We have to encompass all of those things. That is what creates balance. That's what creates harmony. That's what creates synchronicity. And the sooner you become more synchronized with those parts of your life, the sooner you will become synchronized with the earth, and the sooner that you will be able to manifest the life that you want.
And the sooner you'll be able to flow through life.
Yes.
And we're not constantly questioning ourselves. Am I to this or this? How should I be? I shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't act this way. I shouldn't react this way, type of thing. And in ourselves, we're causing ourselves anxiety. We're literally causing ourselves anxiety from this, like, from inward to what it's projected out in the world, like what we are supposed to feel like it's correct. So no, yeah, you make.
And it has to do with the stagnance of energy. Like, okay, everything is energy, and energy has to move. And if you focus only on one part of your human traits, if you're only focusing on your masculine energy and you're not focusing on your femininity, there's a stagnance that occurs. And that's where anxiety comes from. That's where illness comes from. You have to allow all of those things to be moving and fluctuating and in flux all the time, and embracing all of those things. When energy is stagnant, things go wrong. It's like a train wreck. It's like, it very much is. And yeah, and just like even like movement through life, a lot of in our world, we've lived once again in a very masculine world, and where we feel like we have to be in control of how things move, and we don't allow, and we don't accept, and we don't surrender, which has a negative connotation, but but I don't use it that way. But we have this need to be in control of how we move through life. And that is a very masculine way to move. And most of our world moves like that, but it's about the surrender. At some point when life hands you an opportunity, or when it's clearly showing you something, it's very important to surrender and finding that balance. Sometimes you're a creator and sometimes you need to surrender. And but that is the balance. That is where the synchronicity happens. That's how, you can move and flow through life more easily. Yeah.
Boom. That's so crazy, because it makes me think about how like I'm definitely in tune with my emotions. I let them flow and I let them go. And I've just been always that empath of a person that is and I love that. Like, I'm very close to my emotions and I feel them and I embrace them. And recently I use them as a power, because it allows me to connect with people. It allows me to sympathize. It allows me to see things sometimes that other people don't see within other people. It's my power, right? But now that you mentioned that, also has made me kind of think. I was like, I love like having structure, and we mentioned this before. I love having structure and I love having control. But I never saw that as I kind of saw that as, in a way, a weakness. But we kind of mentioned that the masculinity, like energy, is really having control and trying to have power, trying to see and like have that comfort in knowing what's going to happen next, or being able to be in that control. So I've never seen that as like a masculine part of me, which is so crazy. Well, we're having this conversation, but I've never seen it that way. And just recently, like, I'm letting go of that part, but just like trying to find the in between of not being submissive to that feeling of like feeling power, but kind of letting it go. So I'm trying to find that balance between both of them, which it's not easy. But once we see it, and I guess a good activity, or not, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, a good exercise to try would be to just like, whoever's listening to this, like, maybe think about some of the traits or some of the things that you think as are weaknesses to you, that you feel that maybe you feel that somehow makes you like weak. Just think of those traits and really start thinking about it. Are they more like feminine or more masculine? And trying to find a balance between them both, trying to understand them, trying to accept them instead of trying to fight them. It also goes with culture. I mean, culture has so much to go with it, because we can name off different cultures that the traits differ and expectations are different depending on that background.
Right. Tricks, I guess, and when recognizing, like, when you are being reflective of yourself. And also, just because you're you're a woman, or you identify with femininity, does not mean that you are not only like that there isn't an imbalance, and like that you might actually be living a more masculine life. Or if you identify as more masculine, that you are only living in a masculine way. We all have masculinity, we all have femininity. So it's like Connie said, you have to be reflective, like notice what traits go where. And the sooner you do that and you notice the imbalances, the sooner that you can fix the issue. So even like if you think that you are living in a too feminine of a way, you're too much of a giver, you're too much of an empath. There's things like, working out. Working out is going to increase your testosterone. So it's going to help you get into this flow of maybe embodying a little bit more of your masculinity. If you recognize that you're a little too in control and, and you're struggling for power or whatever it is, maybe you need to, go outside and play with the flowers and, allow some feminine energy to flow through you to find the balance. But the number one step is to be reflective and to understand what traits you have and identify them. This is all about self-reflection for sure.
Right. And accepting that,
Without judgment. It's okay.
Without judgment. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we really need to stop.
Because we have been seasoned in this world. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying we have been seasoned in this world to think certain ways, and whatever has been put on us, it's just not. It's not true. The Matrix world makes money off of our boxes that we're put in.
Exactly.
It does. And so the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you will become closer to your power once again. So.
Boom. And that's what we need to get out of this. Just be able to start being nicer to ourselves, start listening to ourselves, our minds, our feelings, our emotions, and stop trying. Because I feel like there's a lot of us who just, we can say this, like, we don't want to be put in boxes. We don't want to do this. And we don't want to do that. But like, stop comparing and stop seeing those boxes. Like, just stop trying to fit into them.
Right. And the more you focus on the box, the less you're going to focus on your truth.
Exactly.
The box is not the truth.
Exactly.
Checking the female or male box is not the truth. It's such a trick. Oh my God. You guys, come on.
You guys, come on. I know. Oh yeah.
Yeah. We had that moment, like a moment of silence to think about this.
Because it's caused so much pain.
Yeah. And imbalance.
It's so much pain and so much imbalance in the world. That is just,
and that like one is better than the other. Like that's also not true,
Exactly.
Embodying both is the true key. And it's actually been a difficult ride for me as well, because I very much embody my femininity, and I've had to be very reflective about where I'm not, I want to say lacking in my masculinity, but where I'm not acknowledging my masculinity. Because I flow through life in a way where I surrender all the time. It's like I sometimes don't allow myself to have any kind of control. And that is imbalance, as well. So you can be extreme either way. But yeah, you should, have a notebook ready when you're doing something that's intuitive, or when you're doing something in decision making, or just noticing what is masculine, what is feminine, and seeing, where there's the imbalance.
I really like that you mentioned that, though. Like, that exercise is awesome, because in the decision making, I think it's really important. Not with every decision, of course. It's not like, okay, am I going to go to the restroom, or am I not going to go to the restroom type of thing. But with just those decisions, I think a lot of them with like emotional, like to distinguish where it's coming from. I think it's really important, because I think a lot of traits in there can go with, we are very we react because we're trying to fight control, or we're trying to fight to be submissive, or which submissive is another word that people use that in, like, when you say submissive, people think that of negative, like it's negative, but it's not.
It's not. It's when you are able to allow the journey of life to take you, there's so much beauty in that, and it's not surrender. I mean, surrendering and being submissive seems so negative, and we put that, especially on women and the femininity. And it's not. It's your intuition. You are just allowing yourself to embody your intuition, and it's actually a quite beautiful thing. It's hard to do. We don't live in a world where people do that. I don't know, you guys. I get real worked up about these conversations.
Oh my gosh. But it's what I love about it, because we've had conversations like this, not this deep into, but it's something that it's around us when we get off here and we continue up on our day. It's all around us. being connected and being connected within ourselves and listening and understanding how we flow through life and, with our traits and embracing them and not
Mhm.
seeing them as weaknesses, but really turning that thought of as a weakness into a power, you know? And yeah, not fitting into those boxes and not seeing them. And although it's hard because the world is structured in a way that it wants to push us to be in a box because it just
Which is very
wants
masculine.
us to keep us there and wants to control us and boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
But you think about the earth in itself, the earth is very feminine. The earth has curvature and the earth is giving and it births and it feeds. And, if you need more masculinity, maybe you got to go to the city. If you need more femininity, maybe you got to go to nature.
Okay.
It's true, and I mean, you can find all these things anywhere, but it is the truth. It is the truth. The earth is a very feminine place, and we are imbalanced in our masculinity here. And it's just time. It's just time, everyone. It's just time.
Everyone,
we
like,
shouldn't
what
even
are
be
you
having
doing?
conversations like this anymore.
I know.
So,
So hopefully you're taking this in and
oh man.
we just embrace and find a balance within ourselves with both and stop judging each other and stop judging us and just like, what are we doing, people? Like, what? No.
Stop with the boxes. Boxes don't exist. Maybe a circle is a little more feminine. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, boxes are boring.
Yeah. Whenever you start feeling, when you feel like you're being put in a box, look beyond the box. That is just power and money being made off of you. And we're too good for that.
Weird.
As people, we do have, we have our hours. We don't need to be put in a box. Like why would I, why would I limit myself like that? Like why would you want to limit yourself to just these two female male? Like I'm so beyond that. You're so beyond that.
Like, oh my God.
Oh man. Oh woman. Oh,
Yes.
everyone in between.
Well, well,
Thank you for listening to the tangent today.
I know.
I feel like
It's just
annoyed.
Hannah and I haven't talked in a while, so this is just us like
Doing a little.
Oh, but yeah, so I really hope that everybody listening to this kind of takes a moment after you listen to us and just really reflect on maybe your past and just connect with your inner masculinity and femininity. And, it's okay to have many traits on both sides or opposite or whatever you want to call it, and just connect with them and embrace them. Because I think that's the beauty in life, right? We're all different. We all have our, some traits are more like we're more connected to them or, I don't know, I guess finding that balance within ourselves. I think in general, it's just balance, right?
Balance, synchronicity, harmonization, all those things. They all go together. And to thrive in this world, in the matrix world that we live, that's the key. It's one of the keys. And we know balance is one of the keys to life. So, but yes, thanks for listening to that. Definitely, it's something that I, and Connie and I, it's always going to be somewhat of a challenge. It's always going to take reflection. Reflection is so necessary, and then soon enough, it'll just become a normal way of life. When you are reflective, you just when you start practicing being reflective, eventually you just are reflective, and then you notice the subtleties about yourself and where things can be adjusted, and then at some point you might not need to adjust anymore. So,
and you'll understand yourself better, So when you open this and you kind of see those traits within yourself and recognize them and you understand them, I mean, you just start understanding more about yourself and why you make decisions the way you do or why you flow through life the way you do. And through that, maybe you're like, ooh, I'm not sure if I want to continue to kind of give that focus. Maybe within that, you find yourself like, oh, like that understanding, that aha moment, and make some change. I mean, in all of this, it's all positive. There can't be any negative with just reflecting on yourself and trying to find that balance and try to just connect with yourself and understand yourself better, right? Because I mean, yeah.
That's lovely. It's true. There's nothing negative about being reflective.
Nope. Unless judgment comes in and you start judging yourself, then at that point, get out of there. Go ride a bike. Go
Come to
get some
Hawaii
ice
then,
cream.
okay? Come to Hawaii and live on a farm, and then all your problems will go away.
Oh. Yeah. Our next podcast. What?
I was just gonna say you can't be sad in a place where there's a rainbow in the sky.
Oh my gosh. So this is kind of we're right now we should just be collecting people. So if you're listening to this, just let's talk. Let's get a trip to Hawaii started. So and let's just go and find Hannah and hang out.
Let's start our own colony where we don't use masculine or feminine, we just are instead.
How sweet would that? That'd be so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
We
I don't
live in
even
a
know
world
what
of
that looks like.
duality, people, and where we're always just fighting with a different side, and it doesn't work. Synchronicity,
Yeah.
harmonization, balance.
And with that, not that we're zen, no, I just feel like next week we will be talking about dreams.
Yeah. And dream, whatever that means, whether it's dreaming in your sleep or dreaming in your awakeness, dreams are everywhere.
Dreams are everywhere. And yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that and kind of go in depth and what dreams can tell us, what we can learn from them, and so forth. So thank you for listening, guys, and tune in next week to Connie and Hannah and Connie Unraveled. Okay.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, actually, the shaka.
Is that what we were doing now?
The shaka, yeah.